Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to the greatest rising podcast in football. My name is Carson, and I am a Battlehawksaholic.
My name is Alex, and I'm a Panthersaholic, not to be confused with Carolina.
I'm Ian. I'm a Brahmasaholic.
To hear more about Week 3 of the UFL season, make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the episode, but first, you know we gotta roll that intro. Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to Footballers Anonymous, the only podcast on the internet covering the UFL. It's true, don't look it up. Coming at you after a crazy week of the UFL season where we actually had good games for once.
This is true. In fact, most of the games were actually pretty good this week, which is different than what we've had the first couple weeks. It was pretty entertaining.
Most of them.
Shout out me and Alex for having the best game of the week and probably the year.
Yeah,
To find out
honestly.
who won that game, stay tuned.
All right, getting started with our first question of the day. We have two questions, both from the same person. Shout out to one of our newest listeners who has already binged the entirety of Footballers Anonymous, McKenna Baird, who asks, if you were forced to change your favorite UFL team, what would it be? I know we answered this question for the NFL, but what about the UFL? Do you have a backup UFL team? I mean, poor Ian has had to switch several times already, but
Honestly,
Honestly, if I had to pick one other one, I don't know. I'd probably go with the Renegades. I like their uniforms.
I
I
was
agree.
kind of on that track, yeah. Which is
I
kinda
have-
funny because
I have no connection to any of the other areas,
Me
so
neither.
I would just be picking on which team looks the coolest. And also, Renegades is a cool name, and they just look like a fun team. I would probably pick the Renegades.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Renegades. I think their uniforms are the best outside of the stars.
Yeah,
stars.
they're pretty cool.
Well,
Rip the
maybe when
stars.
we get the expansion teams for next season, I think that question will be a little bit better because a couple former teams back that got kind of
I agree.
tossed to the wayside with the leagues.
I certainly hope so. And our second question, also from McKenna Baird, is if you could pick one, what rule from the UFL would the NFL adopt? If you could pick one.
Challenge everything.
Oh, challenging poor penalties and
If we're looking for one rule, then challenging everything.
I agree. Except the one thing I don't like about the challenges is if you get them wrong, you lose them for the entirety of the game. That sucks. I hate that.
well,
Same
yeah,
way in
I
the
mean, you
NFL.
already lose it for like a half, but
No, in the NFL, you'd lose them in the half. You'd be able to challenge after the second
Oh.
half. Like, if you challenge something in the first quarter and you get it wrong, you can't challenge for the rest of the game.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's a
don't
little bit
remember
blood.
that part of it, but just being able to challenge. I mean, I guess that's part of what comes with being able to challenge everything, but also like that.
I mean, it kind of balances out the ability to challenge everything, but like,
I mean, I think two in a game guaranteed is fine.
yeah,
I don't think fuck.
that's what I'm saying. And you also have to have a timeout in order to do it anyways. So like, you could only have one depending on how you use your timeouts. But I still think being able to challenge anything would be nice. But those are the questions of the week. And if you want your questions answered live on the podcast, we post on Instagram. You can comment on our videos. You could leave a review where you listen to podcasts asking a question. We usually check there. You could send us a business email if you want.
You could also just send us a message on Facebook.
You could
We'll see
comment on
that.
our Minion meme. We
You
will
could ask
see
for a
that.
minion meme.
We take Minion meme requests here at Footballers Anonymous.
Oh, of course. I haven't gotten any, so I haven't had to create any. But if I get a mini meme request, I will make it.
Exactly.
Everyone spam Alex and get a ton of requests in.
We want the Facebook page, which by the way is currently only being followed by me. Actually, I don't know if it accepted my friend request, but yeah. So there's one Minion meme there, but we'd love to put more up. So you can feel free to spam Alex with Minion meme requests. Speaking of comments, we did have comments this week.
We did. We had a couple. In fact, we had a handful.
Comments. Our comment of the week this week is from Footballers Anonymous honorary member Charlie. He said, "The way the Steelers can win is by disbanding forever."
Honestly, I agree.
This is a
I
pretty good
personally
take.
agree. That's a great take.
You
Steelers.
never know.
I would honestly be okay with that.
Well, I know you would.
Yeah,
You very
I
much would be able
2000,
to.
I think they should. I
2008
think if they disband, they should also forfeit all their Lombardis, and forfeit all the Super Bowls they already won,
And give them to the other team.
and give them to the other team. Yeah.
It's an interesting take.
Yeah, you know,
2009 Super Bowl, anyone?
at least the 2009 Super Bowl, just
In fact,
since,
only the 2009 Super Bowl.
in
You
fact,
showed us
only the
that.
2009 one for
Yeah,
no
Yeah,
Yeah,
reason
come
at
because
on.
I
all.
feel like if you give them all back, then you're giving the Cowboys more Super Bowls, and do we really want to do that?
True. So yeah, just make them give away one. I feel like that seems fair. Maybe to an organization that doesn't have any Lombardis and probably won't get any in the next
In fact, why don't
decade.
we go ahead and just take some Super Bowls from the Cowboys while we're at it? Give a couple Super Bowls away.
Some donations, some Super Bowl donations.
Super
Yeah,
Bowl
exactly.
donations. We might be
Although
In
that's
cooking.
fact, let's rename the trophy too.
The
Let's
Trubisky.
rename the trophy while we're at it. Yeah, let's rename it to the Mitchell Trubisky Trophy.
Exactly. Roger Goodell needs to hire Footballers Anonymous to reform the league.
Genius marketing.
Roger Goodell,
Genius.
if
Genius
you're watching
visions.
this, you'll find someone eventually. But
And
until then,
he definitely is, by the way.
yes,
Because many big names watch us,
it's true.
including Barack Obama.
It's true. Don't look it
It's
up.
true.
Don't look it up.
Fact check us. We don't need to be fact checked because we're just that awesome. We're the
Just
greatest survivors.
Trust our ownership and credibility.
Exactly.
When have we ever not been ownershipable and credible?
You know, speaking of things that are credible and honorable, not honorshipable. Carson's college knowledge, because you love that segment.
That's right, guys. It's time for the 2024 fan voted favorite segment of Footballers Anonymous. It's Carson's college knowledge / Carson's stock talk. This week we've got a little bit of both, so we're gonna jump right into it. We've got a lot going on this week. So first off, I do not mean to offend anyone with this pronunciation, but no one on the internet seems to know how to say his name, so I'm just gonna do my best. But Nico Imaliva did not show up to Tennessee spring practice. He has been in conversations about a new contract for more NIL money. To be clear, he was currently on a contract for $4 million in his NIL deal. He couldn't figure anything out. He thought he was worth a lot more. And so he entered the transfer portal, and allegedly, it's not confirmed yet, allegedly, he is now signing with UCLA for $1 million in NIL. So, good job. I'm not sure what you expected from a quarterback whose last name is literally Iamaliva. Just gonna throw that out there. Maybe the most stupid transfer I've ever seen from a college athlete, but gotta happen at some point. But with him being transferred, now 4 out of the 5 5-star quarterbacks from the 2023 class have transferred. The only one who has stayed is Quinn Ewers in Texas, and there were rumors about him transferring a little while ago, but he is officially staying in Texas. In other news, this actually happened a couple weeks ago. I just now realized it and thought we should report at it. Arizona Cardinals legend Trace McSorley has returned to Penn State as assistant quarterback coach. He's going to teach them all how to throw it on a dime, which is pretty cool.
Like they ain't even trying.
Exactly. I think that's great. You love to see it. Speaking of fan favorites, Footballers Anonymous fan favorite draft prospect Mason Graham, who would make an excellent addition to your team if he falls, by the way, has been seen working out in a Jags t-shirt. That's where he lands on a whole lot of people's mock drafts. And while we're talking about mock drafts, now might be a good time to remind you guys that next Wednesday, my mock draft episode of Footballers Anonymous will be launching right here as a special episode after the release of our regularly scheduled program. And I've got to say, I started officially making my draft. I went through the first round today, and it's pretty interesting. I think you guys are going to like it. I won't
Carson.
spoil too much, but yes, Ian.
I actually had a draft question for you.
And what would that be?
So me and one of my Bears fans buddies, we were talking about the draft and what we should
Okay.
do with number 10. And we had an idea. Okay, so obviously, just like the Bears won Ashton G&T.
Of course.
And so do a lot of teams. The Raiders especially, at number 6. So me and my friend were thinking, okay, well, how could we ensure that we get G&T? And then we thought trading up. We could trade up past the Raiders to get G&T. And I looked through the list. I took it from. We can't trade with the Raiders, obviously. They're not going to trade back to lose the prospect they want.
You wanna trade with the
picks 1
Giants?
through 4 Picks 1 through 4, they all want their picks. But number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think the possibility could be that the Bears and Jaguars work out a trade with the Bears taking G&T at number 5 and the Jaguars picking potentially Mason Graham at number 10, if that's their clear favorite.
Well,
Do you think there's a team from 6 through 9 that would take Mason Graham without a doubt if you fell to them?
without spoiling too much, but giving you a tease, I have Ashton Genty going top 3.
That's kind of wild.
I actually I know what I have a feeling I know what he's gonna say about that.
Unless
And
you
I
have the
know
Bears trading up, that'd be funny, but that's kind of wild.
No, I have Genty
Kinda wild.
going. I have Genty going top 3.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But to my situation, what do you think?
But in
what do you think
your
about that?
situation,
What do you think? What do you think about that?
if that top 3 team doesn't take G.
I personally
If-
think it'd be a great idea. I think it'd be a great investment. I'm not really sure what we would give to the Jaguars outside of the number 10. Probably a second rounder, maybe a third rounder. I don't know if we could throw a player.
You'd
in
have
there,
to give
and I
them a
don't know-
lot because
I don't know
they.
I don't know the certainty of Mason Graham dropping to 10, but I thought it was an interesting idea. I think it was something that I would heavily support as a Bears fan.
I don't know if I see Mason Graham dropping all the way to 10 if the Jags don't pick him up. Maybe see him going to 6 or 7. Just depending on who ends up trading up, and because even though all 32 NFL teams have their first rounders right now, on draft day things are gonna get switched up. That's just how it works. So depending on who ends up getting those top 10 picks, I could maybe see him falling to 8, but I can't see him going further than that.
Who has the 8 pick again?
8
It's 6 Raiders,
Carolina.
7, 8 Carolina. Who's 7? Jets.
Jets,
Jets will probably take Warren if he's available.
probably.
And who's 9? Cowboys? No, not Cowboys. Who's 9?
Saints,
The Saints. Yeah, the Panthers would probably be the biggest threat to taking Graham there, wouldn't they?
probably.
I mean,
It's
hey,
a
if he falls, he's a great addition to any team.
If he falls, he's a great addition to any team. It's a very interesting take. And if you guys want to join us for a more thorough conversation into these kinds of things, again, make sure you stay tuned for the Footballers Anonymous mock draft. And it's going to be a very accurate mock draft. It's going to be a good prediction, but it's also going to be a different mock draft. Not going to just make the same picks as everyone else. You're going to make them realistic, but just kind of throw some different ideas out there. So you might see some interesting. I mean, again, Genty going top 3, that's all I'm saying. I have some pretty interesting things. Also, 3 quarterbacks in the first round, and they're not to who you think.
I can see that. Oh, they're not. Okay.
At least one of them. I can talk to you guys later. But anyways, yeah. So, stay tuned. Next Wednesday, our regularly scheduled episode will release one day early on Tuesday, so you get time to digest that. And then the day before the draft on Wednesday, you will get the full mock draft episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that and follow all our social channels to get all of the shorts where I break down what prospects your team should be looking at for the NFL draft. But moving on, the Steelers have been bringing in quarterback Shedeur Sanders to the facility. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Possible pick. Will Howard has claimed to be the best quarterback in the draft. I like the attitude. I like Will Howard as a prospect, honestly. I think he's better than Jalen Milroe. And he deserves to be a first rounder more than him, but there are some that deserve to be more than both of them. But and speaking, actually, we'll get into this first. Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond has been in some legal trouble. He assaulted someone, and apparently he tried to pay off the victim to sign an NDA. They did not agree, and he is now in even more trouble. Shout out Isaiah Bond, legend. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter's jersey numbers are being retired at Colorado.
Really?
Little soon?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, granted, I will say, the two of them pretty much single-handedly brought Colorado into relevancy. So I do think they deserve it. But, we're really doing that already.
I'd say Coach Prime
I
did that
would have
more than they
at
did.
least given it a year, but I mean, it's not the wrong decision. They should have their jerseys retired.
Absolutely.
It's just the fact that it's
Wow. They haven't even been drafted yet. Come on, guys. I think it's deserved. I don't love Shedeur Sanders very much, but I think retiring his jersey is valid for what he did for the team. Speaking of them, Travis Hunter says he will retire from football if his team doesn't let him play both corner and wide receiver.
Crazy.
Kind of crazy.
He wasn't the best in either of those positions, and now he's trying to play both those positions at the same time in the NFL.
All right, I won't lie. Sometimes I do overhate on Travis Hunter. He is still a top 5 prospect in both of
stud.
those positions, and he's an
He's a
incredible athlete.
But I don't
But-
think playing both in the NFL is going to work out.
No, there are certain situations where his talents would be well used. And if you want to know where, stay tuned next Wednesday.
You know, I think actually the only way I can see him doing something like that if it's week to week and team dependent.
That's valid.
Like for
That's very
example,
valid.
say the Browns draft him, okay? Just a random team. The Browns draft him. 1 week they're playing Baltimore. Would make a lot more sense to play receiver in that situation. And then the next week, say they're playing, I don't know, the Bengals. Probably put him at cornerback in that game. I don't think he can do both in one game. I think he needs to do one for a game depending on the other team, and then the next week, after scouting the team, seeing what the team's all about, then deciding where you want him.
I agree. I think that's a
I think
valid
it's the only way
play
that would work
strategy.
out. And I think that could work. I think if that were the case, then it could work out.
No, I agree. I think that'd be. I mean, we've seen people in the NFL have multiple positions before. It's not an unheard of thing. Even if Travis Hunter is like a freak at how good he is at both of them, I still think it'll probably look something like that. Where? Who knows?
We'll never know.
But he's very determined to make sure he plays both. Both Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe have been connected to the Browns. It is my opinion that the Browns will draft a quarterback at some point in this draft. And I think those would be valid second or third round options for them. I think that's very realistic. And Cam Ward, another quarterback from the draft, was streaming Fortnite a few days ago and pretty much casually revealed what team he was on. For those of you who haven't seen that, he was asked like his top rankings.
So he had a top 3 receiver ranking, and then he was also asked who his like his favorite like his best running backs in the league were. For
Mhm.
receiver, he started off pretty normal. He said Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then he threw in, I believe it was Calvin Ridley into
It's
there.
Calvin Ridley.
And he
And then-
compared him to AJ Brown, by the way. He said AJ Brown is great, but he's no Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
Which
Insane.
Calvin Ridley is good,
But AJ Brown is so
you
much
can
better.
definitely tell that's a sense of
You can tell
bias.
he's just glazing.
And he even doubled down, which someone was a little bit more crazy. He started saying like the best running backs. He said Tony Pollard, and then he said Traylon Burks, like back to back.
Tajay Spears.
Tajay Spears.
Huh?
Tajay Spears, not Traylon Burks. Traylon
What's
Burks is a
Tajay
wide receiver.
Spears? What he said, Traylon Burks, right?
He did mention Traylon Burks, I believe, but
Yes.
he's a wide receiver, not a running back.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
for running backs, he said Pollard and Spears, which is
I didn't mean to say Burks.
crazy.
Sorry.
He also did say
Yep.
Brian Callahan is a top 5 head coach.
Which okay then. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hey
I
man,
think
it's
he's
good to be
right.
confident in the team that you're going to. It's good to be confident.
Yeah.
Good to be confident.
is
Good
true.
to uplift your guys, even if you haven't been
I
drafted there
respect
yet.
it.
I
I
respect
respect
it. Where was I? Oh yeah. So Vice President J.D. Vance broke the Ohio State championship trophy at their ceremony with President Trump. Terrible to watch. It hurt to watch. Just picked it up and the whole thing kind of fell apart on live television in front of the whole country. It was very sad. But yeah, Ian wrote this down, so I will tell you guys about it. I was doing some mock drafts the other day on the NFL's website for mock drafts. You know, just to show you guys how amazing of a GM I am, I'm going to list some of the trade offers I got. The Miami Dolphins offered to trade for my 4th round pick number 115, for their 4th round pick, number 116, their 7th round pick, number 224, their 7th round pick, number 253, and their 2026 6th round pick. All of those to trade up a single spot. I think I cooked with that trade.
Value.
Think I cooked them.
Value.
And then in the 5th round, for my 5th round 146 pick, the 49ers offered me the 5th round 147th pick, another one up. Their 2026 round 4 pick and their 2026 round 7 pick.
Value.
Again, value. And then in the 6th round, the Colts offered me their 2026 6th rounder to also move up one spot. So again,
Value.
I think I cooked. So I might just be the greatest GM ever. So, you know, NFL, hire me and I will draft. Because I mean, I've got the college knowledge, all right? You
He's
wish
got
you
the
had
college
Carson's
knowledge.
college knowledge.
Like it's right in the title.
Exactly. Carson's college knowledge, guys. Or Carson's draft stock. Draft stock.
Right.
I can be both. Stock talk, that's what it was. I forgot. Anyways, so that's it. The only other piece of college news we have to talk about briefly. Former LSU star wide receiver Kyron Lacey, who was wanted for negligent homicide in connection with a crash that killed 78-year-old Marine veteran Herman Hall took his own life this week, just before the draft. Obviously, condolences to all of the families involved in both of the deaths. It's very sad to see. We offer our respects to both. We mourn both of them, and yeah, all the best wishes to the families. Now moving into our UFL segment. We have a little bit of UFL news and then the esteemed power rankings.
For starters, St. Louis has earned the prestigious right to host the championship for the second year in a row. Well deserved. They bring in triple the fans of pretty much any other city, and it's the right decision for the league. That's why they're getting it.
Give them an NFL team. They deserve it. They deserve it. Yeah, so that's pretty much the bulk of the UFL news from week 3.
Hefty amount. Glad we got through that quick.
Hefty amount. So now it's time to get into everyone's favorite part of Footballers Anonymous, other than college knowledge, the Footballers Anonymous Power Rankings. For those of you who don't know how the Power Rankings work, every week we make our own individual lists of the UFL team Power Rankings from best to worst. And then we combine them using math to make a collective list of the power ranked teams. Now, because math, sometimes we have ties. And when those ties arise, we bring them onto the pod and discuss them and decide who takes the spot. And this week, we do have our first ever tie in a UFL power ranking. These are much more rare since there are only 8 teams. We do have our first ever tie. And we're going to get into that first.
And before we hop into that, just a quick game recap for everyone. Unless you want to do that after, Carson.
Well, you already cut it off, so you might as well.
Cool. The Arlington Renegades lost to the Birmingham Stallions 9-10. The Houston Roughnecks beat the Memphis Showboats 18-17. The San Antonio Brahmas lost to the Michigan Panthers 23-26. And the DC Defenders beat the St. Louis Battlehawks 27-15.
So now into our first tie. Fighting to stay out of the spot as our first baddie, we have tied for 6 and 7 in the power rankings, the San Antonio Brahmas and the Houston Roughnecks. Ian, why don't you start us off with the Brahmas?
Well, the Brahmas actually played our best game of the season against the Michigan Panthers. The most notable thing was our kicker, Donald De La Haye, went 3 for 4 and unfortunately missed the game-tying field goal. That was his only miss of the day. He made 1 for 55. He missed from 30, 31, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Hey, back up.
That was the last kick of the game.
It was the last kick of the game, and I think the shortest kick of the game, too.
I can't remember exact distance. Let me check real quick.
Regardless, not a particularly great miss in the situation that they were handed. I will give him a little bit of credit.
It was a
because-
36-yard attempt.
Yes. He hit
And-
3 or 4, but
and-
that is one you have.
Yeah.
And just like his first miss, it was pretty wide left. So his 2 misses have gone wide left. And he's 5 for 7 on the season. I'm assuming he'll iron that out in practice. Hopefully, I think he'll get it down. And then other news, our head coach, Wade Phillips, stepped down this week due to health concerns. There's not been a named replacement quite yet, but I'm sure there will be in the next few days.
He's being replaced by the offensive coordinator.
Word. And that's about it for the Brahmas news.
And then we have
and
the Roughnecks.
the Roughnecks, obviously, they actually won this week versus Memphis, which is where the tie kind of comes into place. The Roughnecks got a win, but it was versus the worst team in the league in
Ever in
terms of
history.
power rankings by 1 point. The game itself was decent. I mean, it was close. But ultimately, Houston ended up coming out on top and brings them to 1-2 on the season. Between the Brahmas and the Roughnecks,
I'm going to say it's probably better to put the Roughnecks over the Brahmas. Just looking at the games that they've played and their performances in said games, the Brahmas have displayed a very weak offensive front and also very weak defensive front. The Roughnecks have showed a little bit more promising things on both sides, and the record as well. 1-2 compared to 0-3. Just seems like the safer bet to put Roughnecks over the Brahmas in this regard.
Wow, bro was really not going to let Alex talk there.
I apologize. I didn't mean to do that.
It's
Alex,
funny
would you
'cause I
like
was
to
actually
continue with your thought?
I was about to vouch for his team, but I don't think I could do it anymore. We're going Roughnecks over.
So here's what I look at. It's hard for me to give the Brahmas credit because they are 0-3.
Yeah.
And their head coach just stepped down. However, It is worth noting. For the record, I am putting the Brahmas below the Roughnecks at Batty. However, it is worth noting the quality of opponent. The Brahmas have played 3 very solid teams. They played the Panthers, the Battlehawks, and the Renegades, who are all very strong rosters and strong teams. The Roughnecks' one win is against the Showboats, which are a really
Again, that
bad
was my
team. Not
1
to
point.
spoil our ultra baddie, but they're really bad. But I mean, they did get it done. They did get it
I
done.
think I already spoiled it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's already been spoiled.
Yeah.
But so I think the Roughnecks have to take it this week. I don't think it'll stay that way. But from what we've seen, that's all I got. It's hard to have no wins week 3 and not be.
I will say the Brahmas don't necessarily have an easy game coming up. They're playing the Defenders in DC. So
Oh my
They
goodness.
could lose that one. But I also do think it says a lot when you need your kicker to come out and kick a field goal 4 times.
This is true.
So our offense has just been very weak. Kellen Mond is still just disappointing. The defense had a pick 6, but again, the offense just couldn't get it going. And destroying, missing the game tying field goal sucks as well.
Yeah.
But again, coming out 4 times is already a problem in and of itself.
And obviously coming in at ultra baddie, in case you didn't know, it is the Memphis Showboats.
Really?
Showboats.
Huh.
pathetic.
The
did
Showboats
not-
also have lost their head coach. He is stepping down again.
See, but I will say, for one team in the league, not really an excuse. One team lost their head coach and has been doing a lot better than the Showboats. So I don't think the Showboats have an excuse.
The Showboats lost their head coach. He came back and then stepped down again. So it just sucks for the Showboats. There's definitely a lot of instability within coaching staffs because of the way hiring works in college and the NFL. They're all taking jobs right now, and unfortunately, the UFL just isn't established and important enough for them to not take those opportunities. And that's not the only reason why they're quitting. The UFL it's stressful, and it's been taking a toll on a lot of people, mentally and physically.
All right.
So they're your
And
ultra
coming in-
baddies.
Coming in at number 5, we're starting to get into the actually good teams now. I think these 5 teams are the 5 that are very clearly the competitive teams. Starting at number 5, we have the Arlington Renegades, which they are coming off a close loss to the Birmingham Stallions, which finds them at number 5.
Honestly, the top 5 of these 8 teams is very, very hard to kind of put together because these are all good teams. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a matter of so few of them that even though they're at spot 5 out of 8, they're still like it's not that they're a bottom half team in the league. It's just that somebody has to take that spot. And this week it is the Renegades because of their close loss and low point outing against the Stallions.
Which the issue with the fact that they had such a low point outing, this is the second week in a row where they haven't been able to score more than 12 points.
Yeah.
Last week they played against it was either the Brahmas or the Roughnecks, one of the Texas teams that were not so great, and they only put up.
They played against the Brahmas week 1 in which they put up 33.
Yeah, that's right. So and then week 2 they played against the Roughnecks and they were not able to put points up on the board. Week 3 they put up not a lot of points against the Stallions. It's a little bit of a concern on the offensive side of the ball. They put up a lot against San Antonio, but the thing is, every team that has played against San Antonio thus far has been able to do that. So
Yep.
it seems to be at this point in time more reflective of Brahma's defense than the Renegades
Yep.
offense. We'll have to see if they can bounce back, though.
This is true. It's just so weird. I don't feel like they're a 5 team, but that's just kind of where they
Yeah.
are. They do have a big game this week against St. Louis. It will be a very good time for them to prove themselves. The Defenders did it last week, and I mean, we'll see if the Renegades have what it takes. But they're going to be big contenders still, even though they're at spot number 5.
Coming in number 4 is the Michigan Panthers. A little stat: 11,000 fans attended this past game, which is a 25% increase in fan attendance since last year, which is good. We've seen a couple teams go down and a couple teams go up. It's good to see Michigan is going up. But overall, it was a very close game versus San Antonio, which isn't necessarily the greatest considering how San Antonio has performed. But we did pull out with the win in the end, and I'm not disappointed with the performance necessarily. I think both sides of the ball looks pretty good. It was just more competitive, thought. But that's also credit to San Antonio. If they hit that kick, who knows what? If Destroying hits that kick, who knows what happened in overtime? So the Panthers are sitting at 2-1, and they next week are going to play the Showboats for the second time already.
Oh,
I
wow.
believe these are the two. I think these two teams, the Panthers and the Showboats, this is like the first time two teams are playing against each other twice already. We destroyed them last time. Well, the score says we destroyed them last time. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
It was a pick six at the end of the game to make it a 2-score game, but they'll never know.
it's true.
We'll see what happens this time around. I don't want to say it's a trap game, but considering how much we've been talking bad about the Showboats, I would not be surprised.
This is true.
It feels like one of those things where like they could sneak a win away, and I don't want that to happen. We'll see what
Honestly,
happens, though.
we're not speaking bad about the Showboats. We're speaking facts about the Showboats.
True.
It's true.
So,
It just so happens that the fact they're also bad.
correct.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3, falling out of the number 1 spot, we do have the St. Louis Battlehawks, who again lost to the DC Defenders at home, 27-15. Not gonna lie, this one was pretty rough. The Battlehawks are still without Hakeem Butler, and the defensive line that the Defenders have, that we've been praising so much, and we will again when we talk about them, was able to completely stop the run against St. Louis. St. Louis's incredible O-line was no match for this amazing defensive front by DC. I'm a little concerned. I'm not too worried. I knew the Defenders would be a tough opponent, and overall, we didn't necessarily look bad. It was really just some key turnovers that really ended the game. It was Manny Wilkins' first. I don't want to say our first 2 games of the season weren't real games, but like it was the Brahmas and the Roughnecks. Like it was his first real game. It's a big rivalry game at home. And he put up a fight. He had a really good touchdown that got called back because they said he stepped out of bounds. But he still played pretty well. He was definitely a little antsy. I want to see once we get the pass game back up, once we get Hakeem Butler back involved. I want to see how that's going to work. But yeah, the Jordan Ta'amu revenge tour, it really worked. Shout out Rodrigo Blankenship, who hit a 56-yarder, which is, as of now, the UFL record. Respect the specs. So that's the Battlehawks at 3, playing the Renegades next week.
Wait, what'd you say is the UFL record?
56. I don't remember if it's this season, though. I think it's this
that's
season.
definitely this season because Jake Bates had 64 last year, 63.
You're right.
So yeah, against the Battlehawks. I also wanted to kind of throw
Correct.
out there the magnitude of this game was actually pretty high considering I think a lot of people consider Defenders Battlehawks to be like the biggest rivalry in the UFL.
They're the biggest fan bases, and
The two
Jordan
biggest fan
Ta'amu
bases.
alone just makes it a big revenge game.
And not only that, they both came from the XFL. They've both had plenty of games against each other. They don't like each other, so
No, they don't. So it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see. I believe the last game of the UFL season, like the last game of the regular season, will be Battlehawks at Defenders. That's going to be a good one. I may or may not be there.
It's not the last game, but it's the last week. It's actually the first game of the last week, unfortunately. But
That is disappointing. That would have been a peak closer, but that's fine.
the closer is actually kind of garbage. It's Stallion Showboats.
Bro, UFL, why does your scheduling have to be so bad? Why?
Last year it wasn't that bad, but this year they chose really bad openers and they kind of chose pretty bad closers.
They maybe
get that
picked
you
the
can't-
worst openers.
I get that you can't determine how good a team is, but you also chose I think it was the 4 smallest fan bases from last year to host in the opening weekend. It was either all 4 or it was 3 of the 4, and then the other one wasn't really much higher. Either way,
When
they
you
need to
think
put me on the scheduling.
when you think St. Louis Houston is going to be a good opener, then not having St. Louis be a home opener is just crazy to begin with.
Listen, maybe they need to just put me on the scheduling. Which little sidetrack, the schedule I've built it. It's fully done for the NFL season next year. We will be going through and running all of that immediately following the draft. So stay tuned. And I will also be posting shorts content basing off what we've picked for every single team and I'll be pumping those out before the actual schedule comes out, just so they're out there.
We get you the information before the NFL does, because we're just that good. Anyways, coming in at number 2, we do have the three-peat champion Birmingham Stallions, who had a very close game against Arlington. Very low scoring, but they did win 9-10. Alex Mago is still on IR, so he was not playing. But they still looked very good.
Who's the current starter?
He's what's his face? Why am I forgetting his name?
Matt Corral. Matt Corral, who
Thank you, Matt Corral.
honestly, Matt Corral needs to step it up a little bit.
No, he does.
I will they threw the ball 41 times in this game and only put up 10 points because Matt Corral was 19 of 41. I believe that's like a low 40s, high 30s completion percentage, and he also threw a pick. He threw a touchdown.
That's like high 40s, like mid 40s.
Oh yeah. It's like 46. If I'm gonna
Something
do the math now. I believe it's 46.
It's 46.
46.3, yes.
Mhm.
Look at me go.
Honestly, they should have put Case Cookus in. Let Case Cookus.
I'm not gonna lie, the UFL quarterbacks who are the old college stars that we were all looking forward to have all been pretty disappointing. I mean, Max Duggan's not even starting. Yeah, it's just disappointing.
Put Case Cookus in.
You know what quarterback's been pretty decent though? Bryce Perkins.
He's been okay.
Of the Michigan
Rams
Panthers.
legend.
Yeah. Well,
Rams legend.
I mean, he's pretty good, but for the competition, he does hurdle.
He does. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Isn't that funny that the two teams I root for both have hurdling quarterbacks?
Yes.
Like, what are the odds? Anyway, sorry.
Crazy.
That was nothing to do with the Stallions. Stallions do jump, just not their quarterback.
Coming in at number 1, we have a new reigning champion, the DC Defenders. And oh my gosh, why is that defense so good?
This is like their defense is absolute. I shouldn't say they're carrying them because their offense has been doing well, but the defense is dangerous.
They're living up to their namesake, and it's honestly awesome to see.
It's actually really fun seeing the Defenders have the best defense by far in the league. It's such.
I love it.
Fun thing.
Yay!
It's not just that they don't allow a lot of points; they get after the quarterback.
Oh yeah.
I believe they had 3. They had 3 sacks in this game, which is a little lower than their past 2 games.
But it's also Manny Wilkins, who is like a really good out of pocket quarterback. But don't let the only three sacks deceive you. Like, they had him that entire game. They had the pressure. Yeah. They kept him out of rhythm.
And that's what makes them so dangerous. That it's with the offensive competition in this league, they're just steamrolling off, and that makes it a lot easier. They have an incredible line.
It's going to be no different this week when they take on the very weak Brahmas offense.
By the way, as if the defense, there was no reason for this defense to be so good, since at the beginning of the season, they already lost their head coach. And then this week, their defensive coordinator stepped down. And they still are the best defense in the league. It's insane. What is this talent they have?
It seems like a skill issue on everyone else's part. They're just like, yeah, you get a coach and you get a coach.
And we're also talking about them going against the best offensive line in the NFL with St. Louis. And they smoked them. Freaking smoked them. Sorry. Dang it. I knew I would make that mistake at least one time today. Yes, the UFL. They freaking smoked them. It was ridiculous. Kind of awesome to see. I still haven't fully developed my hatred of them yet because I'm still kind of new to being an actual real UFL fan, but you know.
Yeah. You will get there though, I think.
This game helped. This game helped.
If they continue their path, they might get that. Now, I want to throw this kind of thing out there. They are the last undefeated team remaining. I'm going to go through their schedule. I want us to give predictions on who we think they're going to lose to first.
Okay.
Next week, they play the Brahmas.
No.
The week after, they play the Renegades in Arlington.
That could be one.
We'll discuss it. After that, they go to Michigan and play the Panthers. That could happen.
That could happen. I think I see the Renegades more.
I think the Renegades are more likely, but I see both.
But I can see both being competition.
I have a feeling it'll be one of those 2 games, but we can continue on. They play the Brahmas in San Antonio after that.
No.
I don't. And unless we have our offensive struggles fixed by then, even then, I don't think so.
Then it's the Renegades at home, and then it's the Roughnecks on the road.
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. They lose to the Roughnecks on the road in Houston. Could be an easy trap game.
It could be a trap game, but do you think they'll be 8-0 by that point?
No, I don't.
Honestly, I
honestly, they very well could be. Like, they genuinely could be.
The only thing I have a problem with that is that they have to play the Renegades twice before that and the Pan.
I think
I feel
I
like they
think
dropped one of those.
they either lose. I think they'll lose to the Renegades at least one time, and then I think it's like 50-50 for the Panthers.
I
That's
agree.
what I'm thinking.
So it's just a
I
matter of do they lose to the Renegades before the Panthers or after the Panthers?
That's what me personally. I think the Panthers beat them first. And I think the Renegades game the second time around
That's
because
valid.
I don't
Is the
think they'll
second
lose 2 in a
time
row.
where is each Renegades game?
The first time is in Arlington,
Okay.
so that is something to consider. It's very plausible, but the reason I think that it'll happen week 8 and not week 5, I don't think they'd lose 2 in a row, and I also think that they'll be
Yeah.
less hot with week 8 because they would have lost to the Panthers, and I think
It's
that
true.
might they'll still be really good, but they might drop a couple games towards the end of the season. We'll see what.
We'll see what happens.
Who knows? They could go undefeated.
They could. They very well could. The XFL is an exciting competitive scene, and the USFL is a scene.
Yeah,
It is.
it's something. I mean, there's 2 better teams, and there's the other 2.
There is 4 total teams.
And then you got the XFL, who is really good, and the Brahmas.
Correct.
Hey, the Brahmas. Here's the thing: the Brahmas were good last year. If they would just like get it together, but
It's just our offense. Our offense is so destructured.
yeah,
Destructured.
destroyed.
Shout out
Right.
Donald Day.
So our ultra baddie this week was the Memphis Showboats at number 7, the baddie, the San Antonio Brahmas. Number 6, the Houston Roughnecks. Number 5, the Arlington Renegades. Number 4, the Michigan Panthers. Number 3, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Number 2, the Birmingham Stallions, and number 1, the DC Defenders. There was nothing wrong about that whatsoever.
Nope. And friendly reminder, these are our power rankings, which automatically makes them better than Pete Prisco's.
And you know what else is crazy? You know that we're the only podcast or any person covering the UFL because Pete Prisco doesn't even make UFL power rankings.
Why would he care? He's Pete Prisco.
He doesn't care about anything fun. He doesn't care about Jameis Winston. He doesn't care about the snow, and he doesn't care about the UFL.
Because he's a loser. You know what is fun? Your UFL game of the week. And it's going to be Battlehawks at Renegades. I feel like this one speaks for itself. We were talking about both these teams a lot. They're both in the XFL, probably competing for the other spot in the XFL championship. I'm going to assume the Defenders are going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Defenders are going to take it, and then either the Renegades or the Battlehawks.
I could see a reality where it comes down to the last week and the Defenders kick the Battlehawks out.
That could genuinely be it.
That's shape. I mean, it's too early to tell, but it's shaping to be a little scary for y'all.
Yeah, a little bit.
We'll see what happens this week.
We'll see what happens.
We didn't talk about this before. I want to see if you agree with this, just because there's only 4 games in a week.
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea every week since there's only 4 games compared to the NFL 16. Normally, when we have the NFL, we don't have time to pick every game since
Oh, you want to pick them
there's a
all?
lot of them. But we could do. I think we could do pick'ems for the UFL.
Oh, I don't see why not.
It'll take us like 3 to 5 minutes. So I listed all the games on our not script.
Nope.
We don't have a script.
Footballers Anonymous is not scripted.
So the first game is the Showboats and the Panthers.
Give me the Panthers.
Yeah, give me the Panthers.
Okay, so now that one's out of the way, I'm also taking the Panthers. Battlehawks Renegades. I mean, this is the game of the week. So this is actually an interesting one.
I'm gonna take Battlehawks.
I know.
I think they're gonna bounce. I think they're gonna bounce back.
Here's what I'll say: both teams have to bounce back, or both teams want to bounce back.
This is
So
true.
there's not an advantage in that front. However, I actually personally am also going to take the Battlehawks because
Me
of the Renegades offense.
I think the Battlehawks run game is just too much.
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
Battlehawks run game is enough for any other team than the Defenders. The Defenders' defense is just too much for the run game, but I think anyone else, the Jacob Sailors and Manny Wilkins, will be able to run all over them.
And then we have the Stallions and the Roughnecks. I want to hear what y'all have to say about this first.
Stallions.
Hear me out.
I wanted to say that too.
Hear me out.
I
Guys,
actually have a reason.
hear me out. Oh, I don't have a
Stallion.
reason. I don't have a reason, so go ahead, Alex.
Okay. I think the Roughnecks are actually going to take this game. Part of why is because I think they want to it will make it competitive in the USFL. We kind of need that. The bigger thing I'm looking at, though, the Roughnecks offense has not been great. That's been a lot of teams' issues. It's why they lost the first couple games. They definitely got blown out of the water the first week in this, but the second week they always lost to the Renegades by 2. Here's the thing: the Stallions just beat the Renegades by 1. They beat them 10-9. They scored 21 on the Panthers. That was the most they've scored. They didn't score much week 1, which I believe was against the Defenders, which okay, makes sense. But their offense really hasn't looked good, and Matt Corral has not been playing great. And I think Matt Corral is going to have a lot of mistakes in this game. And I think the Roughnecks can edge it out for that reason.
I think that's very valid.
I don't think this is the same Stallions team as the past 3 years.
Is it just me, or have the Stallions been on the road a lot?
They have been. They had their first home game last week. Their first 2 games were again on the road. This week's on the road.
Okay.
What's making up for it is they will have 3 home games in a row following.
Gotcha.
This.
I just felt like most of their games have been on the road.
Which is weird because they are back to back defending champions, and you would think that they would host week 1 to put up their banner, but whatever. Or at least week 2, but
Nobody knows. You know what? For funsies, I'll take the Roughnecks. I don't have much faith in Matt Corral, honestly. I don't.
that's my.
I have
gonna
faith
put
in
in
the
Case
Stallions
Cookus.
organization, just not in the quarterback.
They're gonna put in Case Cookus.
Yeah, if they put in Case Cookus, then the Roughnecks are cookist.
Last thing, Brahma's defenders.
Defenders by a mile and a half.
Defenders.
The only way I see the Brahmas winning this game is the defender's entire defensive line getting injured and the defender's quarterback, Jordan Thomas, getting injured.
Hey, it's
Otherwise, the Brahmas are winning this game. And that also has to all happen in the first quarter, because even if that all happens in like the third, it'll still be out of reach.
Yeah,
I think we also need to bench Kellen Mond.
I unfortunately agree, which is sad. I was
Yeah.
very excited to watch him, but I don't think he's gonna do it. It's unfortunate.
He doesn't really have line help, but that's not all.
Yeah.
Alrighty, moving on to the NFL.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Carson, and I am a cardsaholic.
My name is Alex, and I'm a Billsaholic.
My name is Ian, and I'm a Bearsaholic.
Wow, Ian switched out his definitely not Bears hat for a Bears hat.
I had to take off the Brahmas hat for the Bears hat, guys.
Of course. All right, so we had another very eventful week. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say you can get UFL hats on the UFL store.
Just like this one right here.
Yeah, exactly like that one.
They don't all come with the Andalgo de la on the side.
I haven't seen that before today. That's pretty funny. I like that.
Hey, I've heard of another online store that has some pretty cool stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Would it happen to have the stuff from the Greatest Rising podcast and sports?
and the only podcast covering the United Football League. Don't look it up, just trust me.
Is that the case?
That is the case, ladies and gentlemen, at Footballers Anonymous-shop.fourthwall.com, where you can get dripped out with the latest and greatest of Footballers Anonymous merchandise. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have merch and we have benefits. We have benefits for the first customers that check out from there. For the first 5 customers who those spots are filling up pretty quickly, you will be an official Footballers Anonymous VIP, and you will get a shout out in the podcast episode and a video message thank you from Footballers Anonymous. And then for our first 50 customers, you will find your names put at the end of our episodes as the Footballers Anonymous official supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, your support means a lot to us. It is very important to us, and we really just want you to look drippy, you know?
Like how Ian's looking right now.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we would like to announce a very special promotion. For 1 week and 1 week only, if you use code DESTROYING, that will show up on the screen right now, that is DEE destroying, you can get 10% off of your order. So make sure to hop on the Footballers Anonymous-shop.fourthwall.com website to pick up your merch and be a Footballers Anonymous VIP.
And in no way does that violate any name, likeness,
It does not.
management like
Can you
No.
clarify for the listeners what is the week time frame?
Yes, the week time frame is from Thursday, April 16th to Thursday, April 24th.
April 17th to April 24th, which would be 7 days for those who don't understand math.
Use code DESTROYING, capital D-E-E, lowercase stroying, to get 10% off of your order.
No, I spelt it wrong. STROYING.
There you go. Use code DESTROYING for 10% off your order for 1 week
I was about to-
only.
I was about to say storying. Destroying.
Honestly, would
The
be surprised if it
story
not-
of how the
that-
Brahmas suck.
They've already said destroyer, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It's true. Anyways,
All right.
jumping into your first piece of NFL news. This Monday, we got a live press conference from Michael Bidwell and Patrick Peterson in Arizona. Legendary Cardinals quarterback Patrick Peterson has officially retired as an Arizona Cardinal. It was very cool to watch, especially after the way he left the organization. Wasn't necessarily the greatest. There was definitely some beef with some people, but when it came down to it, he knew he wanted to return as a Cardinal. His legacy lived in AZ. He's done so much for the people of Phoenix and for all the people of the state. It was great to see him there. Glad he retired a Cardinal. Patrick Peterson, a big part of my childhood. I appreciate you. I miss you. I hope you enjoy retirement. And he is going to be involved with the team in the future, so he'll be doing stuff for the Cardinals. He says he really wants to be involved with the media team for some reason.
Interesting. As Carson calls him, Pat Pete has retired. Not to be confused with Patrick Mahomes or Pete Prisk. We wouldn't be saying this if it was those. We'd be
Absolutely
saying
not.
it if it was Patrick Peterson. Pat.
Love you, Patrick Peterson. Thank you for everything you've done for the Cardinals, and I guess for all the other teams. But thank you for what you did for the Cardinals.
Now, speaking of coming back to a team, the Browns have just signed the legend himself, Joe Flacco, to a 1-year, $4 million deal. He's back. He's looking for a comeback player of the year, part 2.
I'm so down, man. Let's do it again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
Okay.
worked the first time.
Run it back.
Run it. I'm so excited. That's kind of awesome.
In all honesty, it probably won't work as well.
No.
I don't think the Browns are as good as last time. And same thing with Joe Flacco. But you never know.
All I'm
For all we
saying,
know, the Super Bowl could be Giants Browns.
all I'm
You
saying,
never know.
all I'm saying.
Jameis Winston versus
You've
Joe.
got quarterback battle Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson, and now you've got Kenny Pickett versus Joe Flacco
Not to mention Russell Wilson versus Jameis Winston.
First Tommy DeVito.
versus Tommy
Versus
DeVito.
Tommy
He's
DeVito.
definitely in the race.
This is true.
We've
That is
got
the
some
best
we've got some
quarterback.
crazy quarterback battles going on.
The Texans are extending safety Jalen Petrie to a 3-year, $39 million deal. Good move. He's solid. He was solid during the season.
It's kind of
The Seahawks signed the spaceman, the astronaut himself. Wait, hang on. Sorry, I forgot. I know Josh Dobbs is the passionate. I'm trying to make a reference to when he was singing. Sorry. The Seahawks have signed the spaceman himself, the man that was on the Broncos sideline singing "Put On" the astronaut part of it. Drew Lock, the man that dismantled the Eagles' season last year. Not the year before the Super Bowl year. Sorry.
Is this a re-signing or is this a signing?
No, it's a signing. He was
It's
on
a
the
signing.
Giants last.
He was on the Giants.
And-
Okay, cool.
Which
yeah, he
That's-
played a
I
couple
don't think
games
he
for
was-
the Giants.
I don't think he was very happy on the Giants. He didn't really get used that much.
No,
No,
He
he's
expected
yeah,
a little bit more playing time. So he's not
second-
gonna see that.
second quarterback returning to a former team.
and he's
Imagine
also
if there was-
reunited with Sam Darnold, so I think he's much happier.
The Bears extended Kyler Gordon to a 3-year, $40 million deal, making him the highest paid slot corner in football. I love that so much. Been waiting for his deal. It finally came through. Very happy with what it ended up being. Spider Gordon, welcome back.
The
He
Colts released kicker Matt J, not to be confused with Matt Gay. For some reason in our not script, it says Matt J.
I have no
don't know
idea
who
what he's
did
talking
that.
about. There's no script. The Colts released kicker Matt Gay. I don't know who Matt J is. I don't know what Alex is reading that would have said that.
No clue what. No
Maybe,
clue where
maybe
Alex
it was our. Sorry guys. I think I made it up.
Go
Josh
ahead.
Johnson signed to the Washington Commanders for the second time in his 17-team career. 14 different, which to clarify, it's 14 different NFL teams, which is the most in NFL history. And then there's 3 non-NFL.
Bro's going places.
What non-NFL teams? Those like UFL and USFL.
I don't remember their exact name. They weren't any UFL or
It's Canadian
XFL.
Football League, I think.
CFL.
Probably that, yeah.
We're gonna look this up. Actually, I want to look this up now. Josh Johnson team history. We're gonna go through every single Josh Johnson. He was
So
on the
he
Los
has been-
Angeles Rams. Wait, no, this is the wrong Josh Johnson. Oh, because I looked up John Johnson. That was on accident. Sorry, quarterback Josh Johnson.
I got it. All right, so
Tampa Bay.
he
I got
opened
it.
in
Okay.
Tampa Bay from 2008 to 2011.
Then he
Well,
went to the San Francisco 49ers the first time.
on their practice squad. He then went to the Sacramento Mountain Lions
Of the UFL.
of the
Not to be
UFL.
confused with the UFL. We should
Confusing
get the
times.
Sacramento Mountain Lions in the new UFL.
Honestly, yeah.
I'm looking at this team. Honestly, I'm not
I
sure if I
have an
like
image
the
pulled up with all of them.
colors, but the logo is pretty decent. I mean, the team looks pretty gas. It's just I think they could have done better colors. Okay, then he went to the Cleveland Browns.
Then the Cincinnati Bengals,
Then the 49ers the second time.
not on their practice squad.
He did it.
Then the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad,
For the second time, he was on the Bengals. Then he went to the Jets for the
Practice
first
squad.
time.
and then the Indianapolis Colts active roster,
Then he signed with the Buffalo Bills.
also active roster. Then the Baltimore Ravens practice squad,
The New York Giants.
the Houston Texans
Oakland Raiders.
practice squad, the Washington Redskins.
Oh, you skipped a team
No,
The
I didn't.
San Diego Fleet of the
of the AA.
Alliance of American Football League, aka the
No, that was after the Redskins.
This has it
No.
listed before.
Mine says before.
Mine
Hang
says 2019.
They were both 2018.
And San Diego Fleet. He
So he was
signed in
on those two
2019.
teams in some order.
In some
then he
order.
went to
Also, the Fleet. He was only on the practice squad.
He actually
um,
did play a lot for Washington. He played like a couple games for Washington. Then he went to Detroit's practice squad. No, he was actually
Active roster.
He was active. Then
Then-
he went to the Los Angeles Wildcats. Shout out the Wildcats. That was of the XFL in 2020.
And then he went back to the San Francisco 49ers practice squad.
Then he went to the Jets a second time.
Then he went to the Baltimore Ravens.
Then he went to the Denver Broncos.
And then back to the San Francisco 49ers.
And then back to the Baltimore Ravens for the third time.
Active roster.
And
And he's now a Washington Commander.
He was actually on the Ravens for 2 years. He actually was able to.
Yeah.
Stay there. All right. Now that we got all that out of the way, Tyreek Hill is doing his yearly domestic violence issue, and he's having a dispute with his wife. The NFL is investigating. This is like Tyreek Hill's like yearly offseason thing. It's like Aaron Rodgers having his whole commotion every year, except Tyreek Hill actually does illegal things.
Yep, very illegal things.
So
It
Very
comes along with the rumors of him being traded as well. It's part of the
Yeah.
deal. Interestingly enough, the NFL has fired 3 of their refs, and they were all demoted to college football. You know, I always wondered why the officiating in college football is so bad, and now I know, because when you get fired from the NFL, you get demoted to college football.
yeah, that's not
That makes so much sense.
The
Not to mention that I believe it was 2 of these refs were that they were involved in both. One was involved in, I think, the Atlanta game that the Chiefs have, and I think the other one was the Bills AFC Championship that they were involved in.
No, it wasn't them.
No, it wasn't that game.
That one.
No one from that game.
No one from that game.
What was? No, it was definitely the Atlanta game. There was another game.
Atlanta game, yeah.
There's a second game, and I can't remember which one it is.
I think it was the
Not
Denver
important,
game.
But was it a Denver game? I don't think the Denver.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The Dolphins plan to part ways with Jalen Ramsey. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up at.
Deshaun Watson, not to be confused with Deshaun Watkins, is determined to return to the NFL and play better than ever in this season.
All right,
Extremely unlikely.
The organization
extremely
does not agree with him.
Extremely unlikely.
TJ Watt posted a picture of his on his story of him piecing out. And the rumors of him being traded are continuing to grow. Discussions with the Steelers are not looking good for him.
If he gets traded from Pittsburgh, I don't think they're keeping their above 500 streak.
Absolutely not.
The Commanders are about to agree with the mayor of DC on a $3 billion stadium. Thank God they're moving on from FedEx Field.
It's
Yep.
about time.
They finally
Woo!
get new owners, and look what they're doing. They're actually doing good things for the team. Go figure.
It's crazy how that works.
Dan Snyder, you're a clown. I hope
100%.
I hope that you hate the fact that the Commanders are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. You know, be successful the year after you leave.
The
My camera
Cardinals.
frozen.
No,
Yeah.
the Cardinals are in talks to sign quarterback Snoop Huntley. Guys, listen. We have a history of signing meme quarterbacks.
Drafting
Give
them
me
too.
Snoop. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. The only quarterback we've ever drafted is Kyler Murray. It's true. Don't look it up. We haven't made
The
any
Steelers-
mistakes.
Even Kyler Murray in and of himself is kind of a meme quarterback just because of his height.
I'm sorry I have to interrupt your Cardinals talk with the team that interrupted your Super Bowl dreams. The Steelers are losing their patience with Aaron Rodgers' indecision. Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed with them, and because for some reason he wants to be Brett Favre 2.0, and he's really trying to get on the Vikings, and they're
Which still
not.
needs to happen. Go to the Vikings, A-Rod, for two reasons. One, so the Bears can dominate you twice, and two, just to complete the Favre cycle. That's what I want. I just want him to complete the Favre cycle.
I do want him to complete the Favre cycle.
And
Bro is
also,
way too confident.
Mike Tomlin reported that his time with Aaron Rodgers was intimate, and there was good intimacy involved.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah,
They're not cooking over there. Now, you might think we are cooking, but we're not necessarily cooking. The Buffalo Bills and James Cook negotiations are not looking particularly great. He is expected to stay with the Bills though this following season, which is good. But there's definitely some disparity with contract negotiations. So we'll
Bro
see how
thinks
that
he is
goes.
worth a lot more than he is.
He is. I will say he is a very good running back. Like I'm not saying like I don't think the Bills think he's not.
No, but
It's
he's
just
expecting
that-
like Saquon levels of.
He's not Saquon Barkley. He's not Derrick Henry. He's like the tier below that.
I would put him as a B tier running back.
B plus.
I mean, that's not a tier, but sure.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah, I guess it's not tier, but it would be high.
I would
B
put him
tier.
on higher end B tier.
High B tier, low A tier. It depends on where you actually like align all the players too. But I'd say he's top 10, but he's not worth
No,
Saquon.
not top 10.
Who do you have ahead of him?
Now I'm gonna have to make a whole list.
now,
You know,
now I'm thinking
we'll come back to this in another episode. We'll rank all the running backs.
Derek Carr sustained a shoulder injury that is putting his 2025 season at risk. Could be a pretty big hit to the Saints, especially with what they decided to do in their draft. I know there's some decent speculation that the Saints are going to take a quarterback. If they do, I think it's not horrible. But I think if they don't, then their season's kind of at a bad spot.
See, okay, I'm gonna save most of this talk for next Wednesday. Make sure you tune in. But all I'm gonna say, if the Saints draft a quarterback at 9, they're either going to overpick on a quarterback like Jackson Dart, who is not, he's good, but not worth number 9 overall, or take someone like Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, he's a great quarterback. A bit of a game manager. I'm just going to say it. He will not do well on that Saints team because they have too many other issues to address. Their roster is a mess. I think it's much more likely
No money.
to just, and they have no money. I think it's much more likely for them to just see what they have out of Spencer Rattler, just let him play, or maybe draft someone like Will Howard in the later round, just until Derek Carr is back. But I don't see them picking a quarterback first round. Or maybe I'm gaslighting you. Maybe I do. You'll never know until next Wednesday. Speaking of quarterbacks, the Falcons are bringing in Matt Ryan to mentor Michael Penix Jr. this offseason, which is kind of cool.
That's right, guys. Matt Ryan is coming out of retirement for another ride.
No,
That's definitely not what's happening.
But no,
We here at
he's not playing
Footballers
Tom Brady.
Anonymous value credibility and ownership.
And that's why it's the truth. He is coming back.
It's not the truth. It's definitely not
Falcons
the
fans, good dream.
truth. Sorry, Falcons fans. Hey, Michael Penix might honestly be the future. He looks pretty good.
He does
I
look good.
I
Also,
loved
we
him in the
say
draft.
Last year's class, all the quarterbacks so far, besides all the quarterbacks that have played so far, are shaping up to be really well and really good. And JJ McCarthy's in a great position.
I mean, Spencer Rattler's like a thing, but
Oh well, okay, sorry. All the first round quarterbacks.
yeah.
I forgot that there's quarterbacks taken after the first.
There's going to be a lot of those this year. You're going to see most of the quarterbacks taken after the first, actually, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of... I'm a big JJ McCarthy fan. He was my favorite. I've said this so many times. He was my favorite in the draft last year. So I'm super excited to see what he does. But just excited to see that whole class continue to evolve. Especially like Spencer Rattler, Michael Penix Jr., and all those guys who didn't get to play too much last season will get to play this season. Pretty exciting. But with that, so that does bring us to the end of this episode of Footballers Anonymous. We'd like to thank all of you for listening, tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You are following us wherever you listen to podcasts. You're following us on Instagram, Facebook, where we only post minion memes, and TikTok. There we go. Make sure you hit up the Footballers Anonymous store, footballersanonymous.shop.fourthwall.com, and use code DEESTROYING to get 10% off of your first order for 1 week only. until next Thursday, make sure you capitalize on that and become a Footballers Anonymous VIP. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Footballer Nation, let's ride.